Marcus Webb stepped off the transport shuttle and into the Zenith Citadel for the first time. The space station was enormous, larger than anything humanity had ever built. Its curved walls stretched upward for what seemed like miles, covered in glowing symbols he couldn't read. Thousands of aliens moved through the vast halls, speaking in languages that sounded like music, grinding metal, and bubbling water all at once. He adjusted his formal uniform and checked his tablet. Earth's delegation consisted of only 5 people, and he was their leader. After 50 years of being watched and tested by the galaxy, humanity had finally been allowed to join the Galactic Senate. But Marcus knew the truth. They weren't really members. They were guests at best, prisoners at worst. A tall, thin alien with blue skin approached him. "Commander Webb? I am Rin of the Pelthic Collective. I will guide you to your quarters." Marcus nodded. "Thank you. I appreciate the help." As they walked, Rin explained the basics. The Senate had existed for over 10,000 years. 247 species held seats in the Great Chamber. But not all seats were equal. The Korth Empire controlled the Senate, and the Emperor's word was law. "What category are humans?" Marcus asked. Rin's face showed something that might have been sympathy. "Category 7. Provisional members. You may observe the Senate sessions, but you cannot vote. You must follow all imperial decrees without question." Marcus felt his jaw tighten, but he said nothing. He had expected this. Earth's diplomats had warned him that humanity would start at the bottom. But seeing it confirmed still stung. His quarters were small but functional. A window looked out onto the stars, and he could see dozens of ships coming and going from the station. Some were sleek and beautiful. Others looked like floating cities. Humanity's ships seemed like toys compared to them. The next morning, Marcus attended his first Senate session. The chamber was breathtaking. It was a massive sphere with platforms floating at different levels. Each species had their own platform, connected by bridges of light. At the very center, highest of all, was the Emperor's throne. Emperor Zolothoran the 16th sat upon it now. He was huge, nearly 8 feet tall, with a body covered in dark, shining armor that was actually his natural shell. 4 arms rested on the throne supports, each one tipped with razor-sharp claws. His eyes were multifaceted, glittering like black diamonds. Marcus took his place on Earth's platform, far below and to the side. A terrible position that told everyone exactly how little humans mattered. The session began. A small, furred delegate stepped forward from one of the lower platforms. Its voice was high and frightened. "Great Emperor, I beg the Senate to reconsider the resource extraction on my homeworld. The mining is destroying our forests. Our people are dying." The Emperor's voice boomed through the chamber, translated instantly into every language. "Your species signed the development contract. The Korth Empire has invested heavily in your world's infrastructure. You will honor the agreement. But the contract said minimal disruption. Half our continent is now a wasteland." The Emperor leaned forward slightly. "I have reviewed the reports. The extraction is proceeding within legal parameters. This discussion is over. This discussion is over." The Emperor's voice had gone cold. "If you speak again, I will find you in contempt of Senate order. Your species will face additional penalties." The small delegate shrank back, defeated. Marcus watched, his hands gripping the railing of his platform so hard his knuckles turned white. The session continued. Business contracts were approved. Trade routes were established. Territory disputes were settled. But every decision favored the stronger species. Every vote went the Emperor's way. Marcus realized this wasn't a Senate. It was a throne room where the Emperor allowed others to speak before he told them what would happen. After the session, Marcus returned to his quarters and immediately pulled up Earth's files. His assistant, a young woman named Chun, brought him coffee. "What did you think?" she asked. "It's worse than we thought," Marcus said. "The Senate is just for show. The Emperor controls everything. Earth's diplomats have been saying that for years. That's why they sent you instead of a traditional ambassador. They wanted someone who understands conflict." Marcus had served in Earth's resource wars, the brutal conflicts that had almost destroyed humanity before the aliens made contact. He knew war. He knew what happened when powerful people took what they wanted without consequences. He had hoped the galaxy would be different. That hope died during the second Senate session. 3 days later, the Emperor's Chancellor read from a long scroll. "By imperial decree, the following worlds are added to the taxation schedule. Earth, human homeworld. Category 7, resource levy of 90%, effective immediately." Marcus stood up so fast his platform shook. 90%? That's impossible. Our economy can't survive that. The Emperor looked down at him, and Marcus felt the weight of those alien eyes. "Human, you are new to the Senate. You do not interrupt imperial proceedings. With respect, Emperor, I must protest. This tax will kill billions of my people. Then your people will learn to be more efficient." The Emperor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Your species resisted contact. Your military destroyed several of our scout ships before you understood your place. This taxation is restitution for Korth losses. It is also a lesson. A lesson in what? In obedience." The Emperor turned away, signaling the discussion was finished. Other delegates avoided Marcus's eyes. They had all been through this. They all knew there was no arguing with the Emperor. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat in his quarters, reading through every Senate document he could access. The laws, the traditions, the history. There had to be something, some rule or procedure that could help Dot at 3 in the morning. He found it. Buried in the oldest records, from before the Korth Empire had taken control. A provision called the right of challenge. Any Senate member could challenge another to formal combat over matters of law. If the challenger won, their position became binding Senate precedent. It hadn't been used in 800 years. Most species were too weak to challenge the physically powerful Korth, but it was still law. Marcus read the passage again and again. It was insane. It was desperate. It was probably suicide, but it was a chance. He checked the requirements. The challenger had to be a recognized Senate member. Earth qualified, barely. The challenge had to be formal, submitted in writing, and accepted by both parties. The combat had to be witnessed by the full Senate. Chun found him in the morning, still reading. "Commander, you look terrible." Marcus looked up at her. "I need you to run a full physical compatibility scan on me. Everything the Senate requires for member species. Why? Because I'm going to challenge the Emperor." Chun stared at him. "Sir, I know what it is. But I'm not going to sit here and watch Earth be destroyed. Get me those scans." The scans took 2 days. When the results came back, the medical technicians were shocked. Human bone density was 30% higher than the galactic average. Muscle fiber was denser, more efficient. And Earth gravity, 1 full G, was significantly higher than most Senate worlds. Humans had evolved on a heavy world, in constant competition with predators and each other. They were built for war. Rin visited Marcus that evening. "I heard about your scans. I can guess what you're planning. Can you? The Emperor has accepted 7 challenges in the past 4 centuries. He killed all 7 challengers. You would be the 8th to die." Marcus looked out at the stars. "Or the first to win. You cannot win. He is too strong, too experienced. Maybe." Marcus turned to face the blue-skinned alien. "But I have to try. Because if I don't, my people die anyway. At least this way. There's a chance. Rin was silent for a long moment. Then he placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Then I will help you prepare. And I will pray to my ancestors that you are stronger than you look. Marcus submitted the formal challenge the next morning. By noon, the entire galaxy knew. The Emperor's response arrived within hours. A single word in formal court script. Accepted. Marcus spent the next week preparing. The challenge wouldn't happen immediately. Senate protocol required a formal audience first, where both parties would state their positions before witnesses. It was meant to allow for peaceful resolution. Marcus knew there would be no peace, but he had to follow the process. The throne room was even more impressive than the Senate chamber. The walls were made of crystal that showed images from across the galaxy. Thousands of worlds, all under Korth control. The Emperor sat on his throne, surrounded by guards in ceremonial armor. Behind him stood advisors, generals, and court officials. All of them stared at Marcus as he entered. Marcus walked alone. His team had wanted to come, but he refused. This was his challenge, his responsibility. He stopped at the designated mark on the floor and bowed, as protocol demanded. Emperor Zalathorn, thank you for granting this audience. Human. The Emperor's voice echoed in the vast chamber. Your challenge has created quite a disturbance. Many are curious why a Category 7 species would be so eager to die. I challenge the taxation decree placed upon Earth. 90% of our resources would mean the death of billions of my people. The Senate laws state that such extreme measures require majority vote, not imperial decree alone. The Senate laws grant me emergency powers in matters of imperial security. Your species' resistance during first contact was an act of aggression. This taxation is lawful restitution. Marcus had expected this argument. We didn't resist contact. We defended ourselves against unmarked ships that entered our space without communication. We couldn't have known they were scouts. When we realized our mistake, we immediately sought peace. Ignorance is not innocence. The Emperor leaned forward. You destroyed 3 Korth vessels. 97 crew members died. Your people must pay for that blood. Then set a reasonable price. Trade agreements, technology exchange, cultural cooperation. Not a tax that will cause a humanitarian catastrophe. One of the Emperor's advisors, an elderly Korth with silver-edged shell, spoke up. The human speaks with some reason, Great Emperor. Perhaps a reduction to 70%. Silence. The Emperor didn't even look at the advisor. His eyes stayed fixed on Marcus. I have heard enough. Human, your species is weak. You control only one world. You have no allies in this chamber. You have nothing to bargain with except your life, and you are about to throw that away in a pointless gesture. Marcus felt his anger rising but kept his voice steady. Maybe, but I'd rather die fighting than live on my knees. And I'd rather give my people hope, even if I fail, than let them believe the galaxy has no justice. The Emperor stood, his full height towering over Marcus. You want to know about justice? I will show you. When I defeat you on the Senate floor, I will increase Earth's taxation to 95%. Your people will suffer more because of your pride. That is justice. Then you accept the challenge? I already accepted. This audience is over. You have 7 days to prepare for your death. Marcus bowed again and left. His hands were shaking, but not from fear. From rage at the casual cruelty, the absolute certainty in the Emperor's voice that he could do whatever he wanted without consequence. Back in his quarters, his team was waiting. Chun looked pale. We heard. 95% if you lose. I won't lose. Commander, with all respect, the odds. I know the odds. Marcus pulled up the Emperor's combat records. 7 previous challenges. 7 dead opponents. The fights had lasted an average of 90 seconds. But I have something they didn't. What's that? I'm human. Over the next 7 days, Marcus trained. The Citadel had combat facilities for dozens of species, and he used them all. He studied recordings of the Emperor's previous fights, looking for patterns, weaknesses, anything he could use. The Emperor fought like most Korth warriors. Overwhelming force, aggressive attacks, using his forearms and superior reach to dominate opponents. He was fast for his size and incredibly strong. But he was also arrogant. He played with his opponents, drawing out the fight for the crowd's entertainment. Rin visited him on the 3rd day, bringing data files. These are medical scans of Korth physiology. I could be executed for sharing them. Marcus looked at the blue-skinned alien in surprise. Why risk it? Because I have watched the Emperor destroy my people's economy for 30 years. Because I'm tired of being afraid. Because someone needs to stand up to him, even if it seems impossible. Rin's voice was quiet but firm. I do not think you can win, but I want you to have every chance. The scan showed what Marcus had suspected. Korth exoskeletons were extremely hard, but they had weak points at the joints. Their internal organs were protected by the shell, but a strong enough impact could still cause damage. And they were top-heavy. Their center of gravity was high, which made them stable on their 6 legs, but potentially vulnerable in close combat. Marcus studied the data late into each night. He practiced holds, throws, and strikes. He pushed his body harder than he had since his military days. His muscles ached. His knuckles bled from hitting practice dummies. But he kept going. On the 5th day, Chun brought news. Commander, you're getting support. 12 minor species have filed formal statements backing your challenge. They're calling you a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just angry. Sometimes that's the same thing. The night before the challenge, Marcus couldn't sleep. He stood at his window, looking out at the Citadel's lights and the stars beyond. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home. 7 billion people who didn't know their fate rested on one man's ability to beat an alien emperor in hand-to-hand combat. His tablet chimed. A message from Earth's government. Regardless of outcome, you have our gratitude and respect. You have given humanity dignity in a galaxy that offered us none. We are proud of you. Marcus closed his eyes. The pressure was enormous. If he lost, Earth suffered more. If he won, he changed everything. There was no middle ground. A second message arrived, this one from an address he didn't recognize. When he opened it, he saw it was from one of the delegates whose species had been crushed by the Emperor years ago. The message was simple. Make him bleed. Marcus smiled grimly. He sent a single-word reply. Yes. The morning of the challenge, the Citadel was chaos. Delegates from across the galaxy crowded into the Senate chamber. Some came to support Marcus. Most came to watch him die. The viewing galleries were packed. Every screen across the galaxy would show the fight. Trillions of beings would watch Marcus dressed in simple athletic clothes. No armor was allowed in challenge combat. No weapons. Just skill, strength, and will. Chung helped him wrap his hands. How do you feel? Terrified, angry, ready. That's a good combination. Rin appeared at the door. It is time. The Senate is assembled. Marcus walked through the corridors one last time. Aliens of every species lined the halls, watching him pass. Some whispered prayers. Others looked at him with pity. A few, very few, looked at him with hope. The Senate chamber doors opened. The noise of 3,000 delegates hit him like a wave. Marcus walked to the central floor, a perfect circle 50 feet across, polished to a mirror shine. The Emperor's throne descended on its platform until it was level with the floor. The Senate arbiter, An ancient being of pure energy contained in a crystalline form floated above them. Its voice resonated through the chamber. This challenge is recognized under the ancient laws. Combat will continue until submission or incapacitation. The victor's position becomes binding precedent. Are both parties ready? I am ready, Marcus said. The Emperor stepped down from his throne. He removed his ceremonial robes, revealing his natural shell in all its terrifying glory. He was a perfect killing machine, evolved over millions of years to dominate. He looked at Marcus with something like amusement. I am ready, the Emperor said. Then let the challenge begin. The galaxy held its breath. The Emperor moved first. He crossed the distance between them in 3 long strides, all 4 arms reaching for Marcus. The attack was fast, precise, meant to end the fight in seconds like all the others. Marcus dodged left, feeling the rush of air as claws passed inches from his face. The crowd gasped. The Emperor had missed. Marcus circled right, keeping his distance, studying his opponent. The Emperor turned smoothly, his 6 legs giving him perfect balance. He attacked again, a sweeping strike aimed at Marcus's chest. Marcus ducked under it and backed away. Running already, human? The Emperor's voice was mocking. Your predecessors at least tried to fight. Marcus didn't respond. He was counting, watching. The Emperor used his upper arms for power strikes, his lower arms for grabbing and grappling. His movements were practiced, efficient, but they followed patterns. Every warrior had patterns. The Emperor charged, closing the distance fast. This time, Marcus didn't dodge. He stepped forward into the attack, inside the reach of those long arms. He drove his shoulder into the Emperor's midsection, right where the shell plates met. It was like hitting a wall, but he felt the impact jar through the Emperor's body. The Emperor stumbled back 1 step. Just 1, but it was enough. The Senate chamber erupted in shocked whispers. No one had ever made the Emperor step backward. Interesting, the Emperor said. His voice had lost its mocking tone. You are stronger than you look. I'm human, Marcus said, breathing hard. We evolved on a heavy world. 1 full gravity. Every step we take, we're lifting our own weight. Every movement is training. The Emperor's mandibles clicked. Then I will stop playing. The next attack was brutal. The Emperor used all 4 arms in combination, striking from multiple angles at once. Marcus blocked what he could, absorbed what he couldn't avoid. Pain exploded in his ribs as 1 strike got through. Another caught his shoulder, spinning him around. But Marcus had fought in wars. He knew pain. He had been shot, stabbed, burned. This was just another kind of hurt. He rolled with the spin, using the momentum to create distance. Blood ran from a cut above his eye. His ribs screamed with each breath. But he was smiling. What amuses you? The Emperor demanded. You're fast and strong, Marcus said. But you've never fought someone who fights back with technique. Your other challengers were terrified. They defended and hoped. I'm different. How so? I came here to win. Marcus attacked. He moved like he had in the resource wars, when he had led shock troops against entrenched positions. Fast, aggressive, unpredictable. He went low, sweeping at the Emperor's legs. The Emperor jumped, but Marcus was already moving, coming up inside his guard again. This time, he targeted the joints. His fist crashed into the softer tissue where the Emperor's upper right arm connected to his body. The Emperor roared, a sound that made the entire chamber shake. That arm hung lower now, weakened. They separated again. Both were breathing harder. The Emperor's shell had a crack in it where Marcus had hit. Marcus's face was swelling, 1 eye already half closed. You have injured me, the Emperor said. No one has done that in a century. Good, Marcus said. Now you know what it feels like. They came together again, a brutal exchange of strikes and blocks. The Emperor's 3 good arms against Marcus's 2. But Marcus was faster now, his movements sharper. He knew the patterns. He could read the attacks. When the Emperor threw a massive overhead strike with his upper left arm, Marcus stepped in close again and caught the arm. For a moment, they were locked together, Marcus holding the Emperor's arm with both hands, the Emperor unable to pull free from the human's grip. "Impossible," the Emperor hissed. "Your strength is yours," Marcus said through gritted teeth. "We're not so different. You evolved to dominate your world. So did we. The difference is, we learned to dominate together. We learned to fight as one." Marcus twisted, using his whole body as leverage, and threw the Emperor. It wasn't far, just a few feet, but the sight of the Emperor crashing to the polished floor sent shockwaves through the watching delegates. The Emperor rose quickly, fury burning in his multifaceted eyes. "You dare!" "I dare everything," Marcus said. "That's what humans do. We dare the impossible." The fight became savage. Both of them were injured now, both bleeding. The Emperor's shell was cracked in 3 places. Marcus's left arm hung awkwardly, possibly broken. But neither would yield. They crashed together again and again. The sound of their impacts echoed like thunder in the chamber. Delegates pressed against the railings, watching in stunned silence. This wasn't supposed to happen. The Emperor was supposed to win easily, making an example of the arrogant human. But Marcus was still standing, still fighting, still refusing to fall. Then Marcus saw his opening. The Emperor was favoring his right side, protecting the damaged joint. When he attacked, he left his left side slightly exposed for just a fraction of a second. It was barely visible, but Marcus had been watching for it. The Emperor lunged forward with a 3-armed strike. Marcus stepped right into it, taking 2 hits to his chest and shoulder. Pain like fire. But his hands found what they were searching for. The ceremonial sash the Emperor wore across his thorax, the symbol of his office. Woven from threads of pure gold, Marcus grabbed the sash with both hands and pulled. For a moment, nothing happened. The Emperor was too heavy, too strong, anchored by 6 powerful legs. But Marcus wasn't trying to lift him. He was trying to move him. And humans, weak little humans from their heavy world, knew all about leverage. Marcus pulled and twisted, using his legs, his core, his entire body. He pulled with everything he had. With all the rage at injustice, all the fear for his people, all the desperate hope that this insane plan might actually work. The Emperor's legs scraped against the polished floor. And then, inch by inch, he began to slide. Marcus roared, a sound that was pure human defiance, and pulled harder. The Emperor of the Korth, ruler of 3,000 years of galactic dominance, was dragged across the Senate floor. His claws scrambled for purchase on the smooth surface. His legs fought against the pull. But human grip strength, human leverage, human stubborn refusal to quit won out. Marcus pulled him 10 feet, 15, 20. The Senate chamber was absolutely silent. 3,000 delegates watched in frozen shock. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings stared at their screens in disbelief. The impossible was happening before their eyes. The Emperor finally found his balance and broke free, shoving Marcus backward. They separated, both gasping for air. The Emperor's shell was scraped and cracked. His ceremonial sash was torn. But worse than any physical damage was what everyone had seen. He had been pulled, dragged, made to submit to human strength. "You," the Emperor's voice shook with rage. "You humiliate me before the galaxy." "No," Marcus said, breathing hard. "You humiliated yourself. 3,000 years of taking whatever you wanted. 3,000 years of crushing anyone weaker. I just showed everyone that you're not invincible. The Emperor charged one final time, abandoning all technique, driven by pure fury. Marcus was ready. As the Emperor came in, Marcus dropped low and drove his shoulder into the Emperor's legs. With the momentum already moving forward, the Emperor couldn't stop. He went over Marcus's back and crashed to the floor. Before the Emperor could rise, Marcus was on him. He locked his arms around the Emperor's upper thorax, pinning two of his arms. It was a wrestling hold, basic but effective, and in Marcus's grip, it was like iron. "Submit," Marcus said. "Never. Then we stay here until you pass out. I can do this all day." "Can you?" They struggled. The Emperor tried to throw him off, but Marcus held on with grim determination. Seconds passed. Then minutes. The Emperor's struggles grew weaker. His breathing became labored. "Submit," Marcus said again. "This doesn't have to end with your death. Just your acknowledgement. You cannot." "I already did. The whole galaxy saw it. Submit with dignity or pass out in shame. Your choice." The Emperor went still. For a long moment, the only sound was their breathing. Then, so quietly that Marcus almost didn't hear it, the Emperor spoke. "I submit." Marcus released him immediately and stepped back. The Senate Arbiter's voice rang out across the shock chamber. "The challenge is concluded. Commander Marcus Webb of Earth is victorious. His position becomes binding Senate precedent. The taxation decree against Earth is void. The Emperor's unilateral authority over Category 7 species is limited. This judgment is final." The silence broke. The chamber erupted in noise. Some delegates cheered. Others protested. A few simply sat in stunned shock. Marcus looked down at the Emperor, who was slowly getting to his feet. Their eyes met. "This isn't over," the Emperor said. "Yes," Marcus said quietly. "It is. You just don't know it yet." He turned and walked from the Senate floor. Behind him, the galaxy would never be the same. The medical bay was chaos. Doctors from 3 different species worked on Marcus, scanning, injecting, wrapping. His left arm was broken in 2 places. 3 ribs were cracked. His face was a mass of bruises. But he was alive, and he was smiling. "Commander, you need to stay still," the head physician said. She was a crystalline being who spoke through harmonic resonance. "Your body has sustained severe trauma." "I've had worse," Marcus said, wincing as they set his arm. Chun burst into the medical bay, followed by the rest of Earth's delegation. Her eyes were red from crying. "You insane, wonderful, ridiculous man. Do you have any idea what you've done? 1. You started a revolution." She pulled up her screen showing news feeds from across the galaxy. Every channel, every network, every communication system was showing the same images. Marcus pulling the Emperor across the Senate floor. The Emperor's submission. The Arbiter's declaration. Already, 17 species had filed new petitions with the Senate, citing Marcus's precedent. They challenged unfair trade agreements, resource extraction contracts, and military occupation of their worlds. The legal framework the Court had used to maintain control for millennia was crumbling. "The Emperor has retreated to the Court homeworld," Chan continued. "His advisors are in emergency session. Half the Senate is demanding he resign. The other half is trying to figure out how to maintain order. What about Earth? The taxation is void, completely. The Senate Legal Council confirmed it an hour ago. We're free from it." Marcus closed his eyes in relief. Whatever else happened, his people were safe. That was enough, but Chun wasn't finished. "Commander, there's more. 43 species have requested formal meetings with Earth's delegation. They want to discuss alliances, trade agreements, mutual defense pacts. Everyone wants to be friends with the humans who beat the Emperor. That's good, right?" Rin entered the medical bay, his expression grave. Not entirely. Marcus, you must understand what you have created. For 3,000 years, the Korth Empire provided stability. Many species relied on that structure, even if it was unfair. You have broken that structure. What comes next could be wonderful or terrible. What do you mean? Some species see you as a liberator. Others fear you will become a new tyrant. Humanity is suddenly the most powerful single-world species in the galaxy, simply because you proved humans can defeat Korth in combat. That frightens people. Marcus tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through his ribs. We don't want to rule anyone. We just want to be left alone. That choice may not be yours anymore, Rin said gently. The galaxy knows about humans now. Your strength, your determination, your refusal to submit. Some will want to be your friends. Some will want to test themselves against you. And some will want to destroy you before you become a threat. The first assassination attempt came 3 days later. Marcus was walking through the Citadel Gardens, trying to build his strength back when a small device attached itself to his back. He felt it stick and immediately dove behind a stone sculpture. The device exploded, sending fragments everywhere. Security teams swarmed the area. They found the attacker quickly, a hired assassin from a species that had lost status when the Emperor's power was reduced. He had been paid by a Korth military officer who wanted revenge. The second attempt was more sophisticated. Someone poisoned Marcus's food. He survived only because Shun had insisted on scanning everything he ate or drank. The poison was designed specifically for human biology, which meant someone had done research. This is insane, Marcus said, confined now to his quarters under heavy guard. I didn't do this to become a target. You became a target the moment you stepped onto that Senate floor, said his new security chief, a massive being covered in rock-like armor named Thrace. Thrace's species had been oppressed by the Korth for 500 years. He had volunteered for the job within hours of the challenge. There are many who profit from the old system. They will kill to preserve it. Earth's government sent a message. They wanted Marcus to come home, where it was safe. Marcus refused. His work wasn't finished. The Senate sessions had become tense affairs. The Emperor no longer attended. His representatives tried to maintain order, but every session now included challenges to Korth authority. Some were illegal, using the precedent Marcus had established. Others were simple defiance. A delegate from the Vex Collective stood during one session. For 300 years, the Korth Empire has taken 60% of our world's food production. We challenge this under the web precedent. We demand a fair contract renegotiation. The Korth representative tried to argue that the precedent only applied to taxation, not all contracts. The Senate arbiter disagreed. The challenge was valid. Similar scenes played out daily. The Empire was fracturing slowly but surely. Marcus received a private message on his 10th day of recovery. It was from the Emperor himself. Meet me, alone. I wish to discuss terms. Everyone told him not to go. It was obviously a trap. The Emperor had every reason to want Marcus dead. But Marcus went anyway, bringing only Thrace as backup. Waiting outside. The meeting place was a small observation room overlooking the Citadel's main hangar. The Emperor stood at the window, looking out at the ships. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. His shell still showed the cracks from their fight. You came, the Emperor said without turning around. You asked me to. Most would assume I meant to kill you. Maybe you do, but I don't think so. If you wanted me dead, you'd have hired better assassins. The Emperor actually laughed, a strange clicking sound. The attempts on your life were not sanctioned by me. Elements of my military act on their own now. I am losing control. Good. The Emperor turned to face him. You do not understand what you have done. The Empire kept order. Without it, There will be chaos. Species will war with each other. Trade will collapse. Millions will die. Then we'll build something better. So naive. You think the galaxy wants democracy? Freedom? Most species are content to be ruled, as long as the ruler is competent. Marcus shook his head. No, they're content to survive. That's not the same thing. Given a choice, most beings want to control their own lives. And you will give them that choice? I'll try. The Emperor studied him for a long moment. I could have killed you. During the challenge, there were 3 moments where you were completely exposed. I could have struck killing blows. Why didn't you? Because I was curious. No one had ever fought me like that. I wanted to see what you would do. The Emperor's mandibles clicked. And now I see the result. My empire crumbles because I was curious. Your empire was already crumbling. It was built on fear and force. Those foundations are weak. Perhaps. The Emperor moved toward the door, then paused. I am abdicating. The Senate will be informed tomorrow. The court will transition to a parliamentary system. It is the only way to prevent civil war. Marcus was stunned. Why are you telling me this? Because you won. Not just the challenge. You won the greater war. The ideological war. I ruled through strength, and you proved that strength alone is not enough. The Emperor's voice was weary. I am 340 years old. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Perhaps it is time for mine to fall, so something new can grow. What will you do? Return to my homeworld. Advise the new government. Try to manage the transition peacefully. He looked at Marcus one last time. What will you do, human? Help build what comes next. Then I wish you luck. You will need it. The Emperor left. Marcus stood alone in the observation room, watching the ships come and go. Chun found him there an hour later. The Emperor's abdication was just announced. The Senate is in emergency session. Everyone's asking what humanity wants. What do we want? I don't know, Commander. You tell me. Marcus thought about Earth, about the billions of people who wanted nothing more than to live their lives in peace. About all the species in the galaxy who felt the same way. We want a fair chance, he said finally. For everyone. No matter how strong or weak, how old or new to the Senate. Everyone deserves a fair chance. That's a nice dream. Dreams are where good ideas start. The emergency session lasted 3 days. When it was over, the Senate had voted to dissolve the imperial system. The court would keep their seat, but would have no more authority than any other species. A new framework was proposed, something they were calling the Accord of Equals. Marcus was invited to help draft it. Why me? He asked Rin. Because you are not seeking power. Because you fought for your people, not for conquest. Because the galaxy trusts you. They barely know me. They know what they saw on that Senate floor. They know you stood against tyranny and won. That is enough. Marcus worked on the Accord for the next month. It was exhausting, frustrating work. Every species wanted something different. Every delegation had concerns. But slowly, piece by piece, they built something new. The Accord established equal representation for all Senate species. It created mutual defense agreements, so no species would face aggression alone. It set fair trade standards and resource-sharing protocols. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than what had existed before. And at Marcus's insistence, it included something new. A provision that any species could challenge any law they believed unjust. Not through combat, but through arbitration and debate. You are giving them your strength, Rin observed. No, Marcus said. 6 months after the challenge, Marcus stood once again in the observation deck of the Zenith Citadel. But everything had changed. The Emperor's throne had been removed from the Senate chamber. In its place was a circular platform where delegates rotated as speakers. Each species now had equal time, equal voice, equal vote. The transformation had been remarkable and, surprisingly, relatively peaceful. Reflecting on your handiwork? Rin appeared beside him, as he often did these days. Wondering if it will last, Marcus admitted. Nothing lasts forever, but this is a good beginning. Rin gestured to the viewing screen showing the Senate in session. Look at them. Actually debating. Actually listening to each other. 6 months ago, that would have been impossible. A young Korth delegate was speaking, proposing economic aid for species whose economies had suffered during the transition. Other delegates were asking questions, offering amendments, working together. It looked like democracy. The Korth are adapting better than I expected, Marcus said. They are a practical people. Once they accepted the Empire was over, they focused on building something new. Their military has been reorganized into the Mutual Defense Fleet. Their trade networks are being opened to all species. They are learning to lead through cooperation instead of domination. And the Emperor? He serves as an advisor to the new Korth Parliament. He's old, tired, but occasionally wise. His perspective on galactic history is valuable. Rin paused. He asked about you last week. Wanted to know if you had returned to Earth yet. What did you tell him? That you are stubborn and refuse to leave until your work is complete. Marcus smiled. Sounds about right. Chun joined them on the observation deck, carrying a tablet. Commander, we have a situation. Marcus's smile faded. There was always a situation these days. What now? The Srel Dominion just sent their first representative to the Senate. They've been silent for 5 centuries, ever since the Korth crushed their rebellion and imposed strict isolation terms. But with the new accord, they're free to participate again. That's good news, isn't it? Maybe. Maybe not. Their delegate is asking for reparations from the Korth for 500 years of economic isolation. The Korth Parliament is saying they're not responsible for the old Empire's actions. It could get ugly. Marcus sighed. This was the hard part. Creating the accord had been challenging, but living with it was proving even more difficult. Old grievances didn't disappear just because the system changed. Every day brought new disputes, new challenges, new tests of whether this fragile peace could hold. Set up a meeting with both delegates. I'll mediate. Commander, you're not an official mediator. No, but they trust me. Both sides. That's worth something. The meeting took place in a neutral conference room. The Srel delegate was a tall, ethereal being named Sora, who spoke in musical tones. The Korth delegate was younger than most Korth Marcus had met, with a green-tinted shell that indicated recent maturity. Thank you for agreeing to meet, Marcus began. I know this is a difficult topic. Difficult? Sora's voice rose like a crescendo. The Korth destroyed our economy. They isolated us from the galaxy. Our people suffered for 500 years. And now they pretend it never happened. The Korth delegate, whose name was Ren, clicked his mandibles defensively. The current Korth government had nothing to do with those actions. We have reformed our entire system. We should not be punished for crimes committed by leaders who died centuries ago. But you benefited from those crimes, Sora insisted. Your economy grew strong from the resources you took from us. Your people lived well while ours starved. Marcus held up a hand. You're both right. They looked at him in surprise. Sora, your people suffered terribly. That's undeniable. You deserve acknowledgement and restitution. But Ren is also right. The Korth who hurt you are dead. The current generation didn't make those choices. So we should just forget? Sora asked. No, you should remember. But you should also look forward. Marcus pulled up economic data on the conference screen. Here's what I propose. The Korth don't owe you for the past, because the past can't be undone. But they do owe you a future. Partnership, trade agreements, technology sharing. Help your economy grow to where it should have been. Ren studied the data. This is actually reasonable. We could structure it as an investment rather than reparations. Mutually beneficial. Our people want justice, not charity, Sora said. Then call it justice, Marcus said gently. Justice is making sure the harm doesn't continue. Justice is building something better than what existed before. The old Korth Empire hurt your people. The new Korth Republic can help heal them. It took 3 more hours of discussion, but eventually they reached an agreement. The Korth would invest in Srel infrastructure, provide technical assistance, and open preferential trade routes. In return, the Srel would drop their demands for formal reparations and commit to peaceful cooperation. When they left, both delegates looked satisfied, if not happy. That was the best Marcus could hope for these days. You're getting good at this, Chan observed. I'm getting tired of this, Marcus corrected. Every day it's something new. I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. You're whatever the galaxy needs you to be. That evening, Marcus received a message from Earth. His promotion had been approved. They wanted him to return and take command of Earth's first deep space fleet. It was a tremendous honor, and the work would be exciting. But it would mean leaving the Citadel. He stood at his window, looking out at the stars. How many times had he stood here over the past 6 months? How many decisions had been made in this room? Rin found him there, as if summoned by Marcus's thoughts. You are leaving soon, Rin said. It wasn't a question. How did you know? You have that look. The one humans get when they are preparing to say goodbye. Marcus nodded. Earth needs me. And honestly, the galaxy probably needs me to leave. As long as I'm here, people see me as the human who beat the Emperor. That shadow is too long. You do not give yourself enough credit. You are also the human who built the Accord. The human who mediates disputes. The human who shows us what cooperation looks like. You'll do fine without me. Better, probably. I'm too blunt for politics. Perhaps that is why you are effective. Rin placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. The galaxy will debate for generations whether what you did was brilliant strategy or reckless courage. But I will remember you as a friend who stood up when standing up mattered. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Thank you, Rin, for everything. For the medical scans, for the advice, for believing in me when no one else did. I did not believe you would win, but I believed you deserved the chance to try. That is sometimes more important. The next day, Marcus attended his final Senate session. His replacement, Ambassador Taurus, had arrived from Earth. She was a career diplomat, skilled in negotiation and protocol. Everything Marcus wasn't. Don't change too much, Marcus told her as they reviewed the transition. Don't worry, Commander. You've built something good here. I'll protect it. The Senate session began with a surprise. Delegate after delegate stood to speak about Marcus, the small furred species whose plea he had witnessed on his first day. The Srel, grateful for his mediation. The Pelthic Collective, Rin's people. Even a Korth delegate spoke, thanking Marcus for showing them a path beyond empire. Finally, the Senate Arbiter itself spoke, its crystalline form glowing with inner light. Commander Marcus Webb of Earth, you came to this chamber as a Category 7 provisional member with no power and no voice. You challenged our greatest authority and won. But more importantly, you used that victory not to seize power but to share it. You have shown us what humanity represents. Courage, yes. Strength, certainly. But also compassion, wisdom, and an unwavering commitment to justice. The Arbiter paused, and Marcus could swear the ancient being was looking directly at him. The Senate wishes to honor you with the title of Architect of the Accord. It is a title that has not been granted in 4,000 years, not since the founders of this very chamber. You have earned it. The chamber erupted in applause. 3,000 delegates from across the galaxy stood and honored him. Marcus felt overwhelmed, humbled, and more than a little embarrassed. When the ceremony ended, he made his way through crowds of delegates who wanted to shake his hand, offer blessings, or simply acknowledge him. It took an hour to reach his quarters. His final night at the Citadel, Marcus packed his few belongings. Earth's ship would arrive in the morning. He was ready to go home, to see his planet again, to rest. But he knew he would miss this place. The Citadel had become more than just a space station. It had become a symbol of what was possible when beings chose. Cooperation over conflict. Chun came to see him off at the shuttle bay. Try not to start any revolutions back on Earth. I'll do my best. He hugged her. Take care of yourself. And help Taurus. She's good, but she needs support. I will. And Marcus? Thank you for giving humanity a place in the stars. The shuttle ride to Earth's ship was quiet. As the Citadel shrank behind him, Marcus thought about everything that had happened. 6 months ago, he had been terrified. Now he was hopeful. The galaxy wasn't perfect. There were still disputes, still problems, still beings who preferred the old ways. But there was also progress. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now talking. Trade routes that had been restricted were opening.